What is going on, you beautiful motherfuckers? We are back with Quad Shot Podcast, episode number 9. Okay, that is number 9. Let's see what you're working with a brew today, my man.
What do you got?
I got a double. Okay, so I went here. I went yerba mate.
Ooh.
This is yerba mate, and I also have a
A
stew,
stew?
just a black stew.
Okay,
Nothing
guys.
in
Hey,
it.
I already got mine going. I already finished mine, but I did
Where's
have
the
my stew.
glass? Proof.
There
Okay.
it is, right there.
All right. What did you
Bang.
have? Was it
That was just a straight up double shot of espresso. So that one was in for sure.
nothing in it?
No, nope, black,
Ah.
rinsed, double
Yeah,
shot,
no,
baby,
it's good.
ready to
So
go.
yeah, okay. So
It
we're
also is 3 hours. You're 3 hours ahead. So
yeah, it's an early podcast for Roan T.
early morning for me. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah, we like to get them going. We like to get them
So how's
stewed up.
how's my quad shot folks doing out there? Good. Hope
We
we're
hope
doing
everyone.
good. All right.
We hope everyone's fired up today and doing well. Last episode 8 was awesome, and like we have been doing for the past, I think, 3 episodes now, we're gonna start it off with the buzz of the day, and this rotation is Roan T's turn. So, Roan, what do you have for us today for the buzz? I'm excited to hear.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys. So, buzz of the day quote is coming from me today. And let me just preface this. All right, gang. This is from the book called "Start Where You Are" by Pema Chodron. Okay. Here's the quote, and I can read it a few times if we need to. All right.
Love it.
Having the rug pulled out from under you is a big opportunity to change your fundamental pattern. It's like changing the DNA. One way to pull out your own rug is by just letting go, lightening up, being more gentle, and not making such a big deal. None of us is okay, and all of us are fine. Now that
Wow.
really resonated with me, and it made sense in the way I interpreted it. So let me read it. Do you need me to read it one more time?
Roan T, could you read it one more time? Do you mind?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Having the rug, the hypothetical rug. We're not talking about an actual rug, obviously. Um, the idea of that, right? Having the rug pulled out from under you is a big opportunity to change your fundamental pattern. It's like changing the DNA. One way to pull out your own rug is by just letting go, lightening up, being more gentle, not making such a big deal. None of us is okay, and all of us are fine.
Wow. That's it, dude. That's an awesome quote. Can you explain to me why that resonated with you so much?
Yeah. So for me, recently, um, or maybe not recently, but I just think in general, this resonated because when they're talking about having the rug pulled out from under you, I believe that's everything that's holding you back in life. All those, you know, uh, preconceptions about the certain things or everything you're hung up on and your mind twists and makes a big deal out of that really aren't such a big deal that have hindered my life before. And it's really time to, I think, just let all those fears, worries, irrational um, thoughts go and just have a clean slate and just look at life through, a clear eyes and don't just stop getting in my head and stop getting in my own way, right? Of being the best version of myself. So that's
Mm.
why I chose today's quote is because I think it's super important if we're on this journey of self enlightenment and trying to be the best version of ourself is to really let go, heal anything that hasn't been healed, lighten up, be more gentle with ourselves, and just not making such a big deal of things because we are on a planet in outer space, and we're all gonna die someday. So
True. Yeah, it's
it's
true.
if we only get to do this. I've harped on it before in our episodes, right? It's so easy in our life to do all the little things and make such a big deal. Um, but I think it's a huge opportunity just to wipe those fears, wipe those irrational thoughts or anything that's hindering you from being the best version of yourself. It's really like the quote says, it's like changing the DNA. You know, just let go, lighten up, be more present, and beautiful things will happen. And so this is why I love this quote. And then none of us is okay because we aren't all okay. You know, how do we know we're okay, right? What does okay even mean? And then all of us are fine because we are fine. We're living. We're waking up every day, right? So it's like really stepping back and looking at life through, a different perspective, right? It's like, yeah. So it really resonated with me, and that's my take on the quote, and that's, and even when I've like started to, put this practice into action, like I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more clear. I'm not letting myself get in my own way of my success, and I think it's super important.
Right. Yeah, and you're not letting yourself get in the way of your own happiness either. Yeah. I love that,
For sure.
dude. The way that I digested that quote at first was, so I assume that rug to be your foundation. That rug is your habits, that rug is your thought processes, that rug is basically all you know. You're standing
Yep.
on that rug every day. That rug is all you have. And when an event causes that rug to be pulled out from underneath you, it allows you that opportunity to change your life for the better. And then
Yep.
she went on to mention how you can pull that rug out underneath yourself. You can do that yourself. It does. These crazy events don't have to, uh, you know, cause that rug to be pulled out. They can, and they most likely
Yeah. You
will,
either learn
right?
and that's learning the hard way.
For the hard way, yeah,
You know,
yeah, 100%. I mean, either
but
way,
also
it's
this.
going to be tough, but
Yeah.
that you know when so yeah, that rug acting as the foundation, that rug acting as pretty much all things routine, right? So say you have some bad habits that you want to get rid of, and referring back to like the DNA part, like changing that, it's not going to be fucking easy to try and rebuild, and make a new rug to stand on every day. It's not an easy thing by any means. It's not an easy task, but uh creating that life for yourself is gonna be really beneficial. And then also something you said, what did you said? All the little things, but creating, or all the little things, but making a big deal. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
could be doing like
One way to
something
pull.
like washing the dishes or taking out the trash or fucking vacuuming. All these little things, they can be as big of a deal as you
Like
want
you
them to
make it.
be, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, that perspective change can change everything. And it is like changing your DNA. Now you suddenly feel differently about these tasks or about these, a perspective on a certain situation or a certain someone. You literally feel differently. And that changes your body, your body's reaction to these thoughts. When you hear something and before you had a certain perspective that might have been negative, and your body reacts in a certain way, which it always has because that rug, that foundation has been there for so long, and then it gets pulled out from underneath you, change the perspective, create that new rug, create that new foundation. And now when you hear this certain thing, your perspective is totally different and you can react in a different way. You have the power to do that for yourself. You have the power to change your own perspective. You have the power to react how you want to react to certain things, situations, thought processes, whatever.
Yep.
And you can create a life for yourself that no matter the daunting task, no matter the tragic loss, how you react, how you perceive, and how you move on from that is all based on you. And it starts with that foundation and the rug underneath you. So if you need to fucking pull the rug out from underneath you, do it now.
Sometimes you have to do it
Sometimes you
now
have to.
before it's too late.
Yeah.
So
Great quote.
yeah.
Roan T, baby. Roan T, come on. Love that quote.
No, that
That's
was good.
good.
I like that perspective that you had. That was a little different than mine, but it was really good. And what was we were talking yesterday, and What did you say to me? I think you said something else that's kind of that was similar to what this quote means is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
think
that's
that's
like
what
a
leads to success. That's
yeah, it's a big generalization. It's a big kind of it's you could take it as you will, but there is some pretty big truth to that, right? Because if you're going to
yeah,
approach one thing half-ass in life, you're probably going to approach the other thing half-ass too, or most things, right? And there
yeah,
might only
yeah,
be one thing you're kind of dialed in on. But if you approach everything at fucking full force, right? I mean, obviously you need to have your balance, you need to have your rest, and you need to
for sure.
have that cycle. But yeah, how you approach one thing is how you approach everything. I like that quote because when you're at work and you don't want to be there and you still gotta grind out the rest of the day, do you still want to put your best work forward? Do you still want to be the person that you are in your best moments? Like, you still have the power to be that best person at all times, even when
Yeah,
you feel like you don't want to be there, or it's something you don't want to do. You still have the power
yeah,
to be the best. So be the fucking best, man. Approach everything how you'd approach your favorite thing, right? The things that you love. Because it's so easy to in life to, like, when I go surfing, it's so easy for me to approach it with open arms and a smile on my face, and just have the best time, and
and those
just
those things are easy to do that with,
right.
but when you're in the when you're in a bar when you're in the barber shop for what 8 9 hours and it's you're on that last hour and you've already cut 12 13 people like
It's the end of the
fuck, I
week.
just in-
Yeah,
I just want to get out of here,
yeah, those
it's like
thoughts will definitely arise.
knowing yeah, and that knowing you, I know you take each cut as serious as the next, right?
Of
And
course.
you're all yeah.
Yep. The first
So yeah,
cut,
it just
I'll always
yeah.
approach that first cut on Tuesday. My first haircut on Tuesday, I'll always approach it the same as I would on my last cut on Saturday. Always. Because it's quality of work. That customer on Saturday at the end of the day deserves the same haircut, you
Yeah.
know, as and the
And you're
same
creating
effort, So
as that guy, yeah, and that
yeah.
last guy on Saturday and the first guy on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're creating that consistency too, and you're
Yeah.
training your brain to even though sometimes you might want to slack, you're like, oh, I got to get out of here. No, you're training your brain to follow through in life, to put your best foot forward and breed that consistency, and that
Right.
in turn will, in your everyday life, obviously that's for work, but for example, if you want to like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't have time or whatever. I'll get them later, or whatever. If you're doing a favor for someone, or if you don't want to do a favor for someone, but it all. What I'm trying to say is it all adds up. Is that like that consistency in life is important. Being the best
Definitely.
person you can be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And obviously you have to create the boundaries for yourself, so like you have that time for yourself, something that now, like, after the summer, it was very busy in the barbershop, a lot of workload. It was a really good first year at this shop that I'm at, and now moving into the winter, I obviously have grown a lot since the beginning, and I have more clientele and there's more demand, and I feel that pressure to be there more, but I set my boundaries, and I'm
Yeah.
willing to create a balance. It doesn't mean that I don't give them a haircut. It just means that they're gonna get a haircut when it works for them and it works for me, not just when it works for them. Okay, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have to make
That's a
those
good point.
sacrifices in life, but you can't do it every day, because then you're gonna slowly deteriorate into something that you know you're gonna miss out on a lot of things in life. In my opinion, people could see that differently, but I like to get home and have time for myself, and make dinner, and I don't want to rush my night, just like I don't want to rush my morning, and just like I don't want to rush my
Your
clients
client.
at work. So
Exactly.
you have to
Exactly.
create that space for everything in life, okay? Whether
Yeah.
it be your morning routine, whether it be your client in the chair, hypothetically, for whatever that may be for you, and whether it be cooking dinner at night, create that time, create that space, because there is a structure out there, and there is like a day-to-day basis that is going to work for you, okay? And you just have to find it. You have to find it. And I think I found mine, and I'm reaping the benefits. I'm more productive, and like I said, I have more time for everything. I have more time for myself, and I have more time for the people that deserve it, and pay my fucking
and that's
bills.
hard to do.
So,
and that's hard to do, man. It's not easy. So hats off to you for that. Good shit.
appreciate you, brother. But yeah, no, it's important. That schedule that it's out there for you. Create more time, and in turn, you'll feel less stressed and more productive, for sure.
So, do you want to? Where do you want to segue? What are we thinking?
Segue. Well, guys, actually, some really exciting news. After some thinking, we want to bring you guys a new segment to the podcast. Just like when we brought you guys the Buzz of the Day. That's been going really well. I enjoy starting every podcast with that. I think it's a great way to start the podcast, right?
Yeah,
So since
it's
we have
unpredictable, gets us talking. It helps, gives you guys something to take away from our podcast right off the bat, right? So
right, and it's something that resonates with us, and hopefully it does with you, and it gets you moving, it gets you buzzing, it gets you going, and it's good. It's a good way to start the podcast out. So now what I think is we're gonna go intro, Buzz of the Day, and then after our Buzz of the Day segment, we're gonna bring you guys a whole new segment. We gotta come up with a good name for it, like Buzz of the Day. Okay, we don't have a name for it yet. We're gonna get a name.
We'll come up with that
by next episode. When we do this first segment, we will have a name for you. But basically, what it is, we're gonna read a book of our choice. Okay, and say we finish the book, we're open to recommendations, something that you want us to read as well. But this first book we have already chosen, and we're gonna read one chapter of that book per week. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down that one chapter that we read, and we're going to, talk about it and, give our opinions and all that good stuff, really just break it down. And we're going to have a whole segment dedicated to that one chapter for that one episode per week. So I'm really excited. The book that we have chosen is called The Mountain Is You. Me and Roan were kind of going back and forth sending ideas. We didn't want to do something that one of us has already read or halfway through or something like that. So we went with this one. Neither of us have read this. The Mountain Is You by, what's her name? Brianna Wiest.
Yep.
Brianna Wiest. And I'll just read the summary
That's
for you.
what we're reading. Let's get the summary going.
This is also important. You can read along with us, which would be fucking awesome. And it's one chapter a week. That's really nothing. That's probably taken like 30 seconds out of every day to just read a page or whatever. And you're done with the chapter. Or I don't know the fucking math, but you know what I'm saying. So let me read the summary of this book. Coexisting but conflicting needs create self-sabotaging behaviors. This is why we resist efforts to change, often until they feel completely futile. But by extracting crucial insight from our most damaging habits, building emotional intelligence by better understanding our brains and bodies, releasing past experiences at a cellular level, and learning to act as our highest potential future selves, we can step out of our own way and into our potential. For centuries, the mountain has been used as a metaphor for the big challenges we face, especially ones that seem impossible to overcome. To scale our mountains, we actually have to do the deep internal work of excavating trauma, building resilience, and adjusting how we show up for the climb. In the end, it is not the mountain we master, but ourselves. So I'm really excited to start that book.
I'm super stoked, man. One chapter a week, and what we're going to do is provide a recap for you guys on that chapter, what our takeaways were, and then we can fill in any color that we may like that that resonated with us, and we'll just talk about it. So
and dude, honestly, it's good for you guys, because even if you don't read along with us, you're still reaping the benefits of highlighted information from that book. Well, our highlights, you know what I mean? You might have different highlights if you do read along, but
we're taking you guys along with us. All
Yeah.
right, Quad
And,
Shot
dude,
podcast to the fucking moon, boys.
we benefit from it as well. We are gaining this knowledge from the book, which is awesome, and I'm really excited. And it kind of holds us accountable to read a fucking book, right? Because
Yeah, and I like that.
it's
I like
easy
that.
to be
It's
like, have the book
discipline.
on the nightstand and just let it fucking collect dust, right? This way, we
Yep.
actually have to read the chapter, because if I show up and it's, we're filming the podcast, I go, Roan T, baby, what do you think of that last chapter? You go, I mean, we've all been there in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all been there. You,
Oh
you
my
didn't
God,
read
all the
shit.
time, dude.
So it's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
You would always go like, yeah, well, no, it was good, and yeah, he did this, but I really liked it. But yeah, I mean, just what Johnny said over there. Yeah, I
Johnny,
agree.
come on,
You
Johnny.
know, that's how
Christ.
that's what we would do in school if we never read the chapters, which I didn't really read.
I'm buzzing off this this brew, man. It's
So
good.
yeah,
It's
so
good stew.
is it good? Is it a stew? Also, guys, just to let you in our lingo, a stew also means coffee.
I think
so
we
like, hey,
broke
I'm having
that
a
down
stew.
in the lingo.
Well, I just want to remind them.
Yeah, stew, depending on the time of the day, right? It could mean a beer and it could mean a coffee.
Yep.
Right.
Also, we do have some other exciting breaking news for the podcast platform, and we're super excited to bring you guys this news, and I think it's really going to benefit everyone involved. And we're just growing as a platform and as a podcast.
It's
and-
big,
and we're
baby.
really excited. It's really
It's
exciting.
big.
So that, with no further ado, I will hand it over to Aiden over here, and I'll let him to break the news. But it's super exciting, guys. Let's stay tuned, all right?
All right, so since the beginning of time, the podcast time, I have taken the Chris Liberties to
Yeah.
Liberty. All right, I've taken the liberty to do the editing and all that stuff due to my past experience with it. So it's been a lot trying to keep up with the creative aspect of this podcast, but also I guess
The stuff on the back end.
production side, the back end of it,
Yeah.
and then posting on time, being consistent,
Multiple
incorporating that
platforms, so on
into
and
my
so forth,
So incorporating that into my schedule, like we were talking about, was tough, and I felt a little out of balance with it. But don't get me wrong, it was worth every second. But all I did now is think of a way to minimize that production side of my life. So we're bringing somebody onto our team. And
We're adding and growing as Quad Shot Podcast. And
it's a big
go
step.
ahead.
It's a big step. It's an investment
In the
and-
platform, financial investment
Yeah, it is.
on our end, because we know this is
It'll
we're
be
on.
worth it in
We're
the
going-
end. It'll be
worth it.
100%.
We're going to the top.
But yeah, so I was thinking to myself, I go, okay, I'm thinking of all these ways that I can minimize this workload on the production side of the podcast. And I came to the conclusion that the best way to do it is just to fucking hire somebody to do it. Okay. So I just send them the videos after we film them, and I tell them, I want this, and this. Okay.
And I want you to post here.
Post
this
them.
day, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yes, literally take all of this off my hands. It was fun while
So
it
we can
lasted.
Yeah.
But
And we can. Yeah.
who is it, right? Who is it? None other than Jameson Salzano, my cousin. He's experienced in this realm. He went to school for it. He knows the ins and outs. And I have full trust that he will be the perfect puzzle piece, the missing puzzle piece for this Quad Shot podcast team. And I would love nothing more as this podcast grows and shifts and changes into something bigger and better and expands, for him to stay with us all the way. And that's why we're doing this, man. I wouldn't want anyone else. I wouldn't want to just hire some Joe Schmo who's great at the job. I wouldn't hire someone shitty, but just isn't connected, doesn't understand the message, isn't family, we don't feel love for him. We don't, that's why I'm so excited to introduce JMO, as our, what is it, head?
No. He's Jamison Salzano, also known as JMO. You hear us talk about JMO, say
JMO.
JMO a lot. He is Quad Shot Podcast executive producer.
There it is. He earned
That's
that
his title.
title. Let's
Yep,
see how he
executive
does
producer.
today. Or yeah, so this week will be his first week editing podcasts, the full podcast and Instagram Reels and TikTok and stuff like that. So he will be handling that from here on out. JMO, if you want to go ahead and insert your social medias, if you want, do it now. You're editing it. Take the liberty, Chris Liberty, of doing it.
Liberty.
But yeah, so if you want to do it, do it. Insert your socials. We're stoked to have you on the team, brother. Wouldn't want anyone else doing it. And all the way to the end, you're gonna be there, and I'm super stoked, and I appreciate you being up to the task.
Appreciate you, JMO.
Because I know I can be intense sometimes, and Roundt's here.
Kind of like
He's here to go
like
horizontal.
Dino.
Yep. So we're
Dino's
stoked.
intense.
We're stoked.
Dino's really intense.
We're stoked.
All
right. I
that's
just
what
want to
we
let
make
everyone know. I am now switching
Yeah.
from my stew to the yerba mate.
The Yerba. Attaboy. I mean, if we're keeping it in the family, might as well bring Buzz Lightyear on next, right?
Okay. So let's segue this into
Some
the podcast here. So, yeah, I'm excited about this book, man. I really am. I really am. I think
well,
it'll be a cool
I think we
segment.
can touch on that a little bit. I think, I'm not going to say everyone, but I think most people have struggled with self-sabotage a little bit. I know I have in my personal life. In terms of like my anxiety and stuff, like growing up playing baseball, like there are some times where in baseball, I like this irrational thought back to like when I was like 13, 14, that like I didn't want to like get a hit or be or like hit the ball or be successful because I didn't want people to look at me.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. So like I struggle with that. Yeah, people don't know that, but I struggle with that heavily. Like when I was a kid, and I was able to push through that and play in high school and play in college and have a successful career. But I had some pretty limiting, irrational, like OCD thoughts. And I still have them, but I still find it.
You didn't want the attention from being successful?
Yeah. So like like back, like when I was like, I remember vividly, I was playing like I was 14, 15, and I was a good baseball player, right? So it's like, but I was so like I've dealt with that and I've had a hard time with that, and so this is going to be a good message, and I'm glad this is a book that I think would is going to benefit me to read, because there's been certain points, especially like in my life and also in baseball, like where I was really anxious. I didn't want people to think I was like, or make up some opinions of me, that it was just all irrational thoughts that I kind of fell under a little bit, and like it made me not be successful. Like I had some great opportunities, and then I had the talent, but sometimes what hindered me was my mind and my brain and my anxiety. So this book's really gonna, I think, help me in a big way. And
Yeah.
I've dealt with that and I've struggled with that like a lot. Not so much recently, but I think when I was younger playing baseball, but I was able to push through, right? Yeah, it's definitely something I've struggled with. So this book is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, dude. That's really interesting. That you had those feelings towards being successful or being unsuccessful, right? Because I'm sure you had those feelings too. You didn't want people to have attention on you for being unsuccessful, just like you didn't want to have people have those have
there's some I would get embarrassed if I would get embarrassed if I was like I would get embarrassed if I was like unsuccessful, but then also I was like, I don't know, man. It was, your brain is a powerful thing, and sometimes it gets the best of you. You're irrational.
100%.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is why this book's gonna come in handy here.
I think the book's definitely gonna come in handy. We were actually talking about this in the barbershop, and we were talking about high school basketball and the kids on the team, and how some games they really show up. They're a great team. They have good skill. They have good height. they're athletic, good chemistry, all that. But some games they show up and some games they don't. And we were talking about how it really is a mental thing, right? Because you can allow yourself to mentally limit your physical ability, right? Does that make sense?
100%. And I did
Yeah.
that in baseball so much.
Right. Dude, I did
I
it in
was
soccer
so
too. I did it in
yeah.
soccer. For me, it wasn't so much about obviously like I wanted to score a goal, but um for me, like I actually thrived on like once I found my confidence, once I found my flow and I was fucking hitting, then I would be going. You know what I mean? But it was the times where I'd get so in my head about making a mistake, I would limit my physical ability and I would hinder it so much to the point where I became a much less valuable player. And I was not reaching my full potential, not even close to my full potential. Because at the end of the day, when all cameras were off and it just came down to technical skills, athleticism, and knowledge of the game, I was a good soccer player. But once the lights got flickered on, there was an audience, there was another team, and I got so in my head that I really did hinder myself. But like I said, when I found my comfortability, when I didn't allow those intrusive thoughts to infiltrate my mind and hinder my physical ability, that's when I was the best. When I was comfortable, when I could just be in the moment playing soccer and not think about anything else other than what I was doing at that time.
Yeah.
That's when I was the best, because like I said, I had the physical ability, but I was limiting it so much because of my mental. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting, dude. Like I said, we were talking about it in the barbershop. You see it in these kids. So one day, like someone shows out, they have that physical ability.
And then the next game, they
Yeah.
they score like 2 points, and they're like, you don't even know they're like, did he even play?
Right.
You know.
And dude,
So
it's
it's so funny that the psychology behind it, like why us humans sometimes do that.
Mhm.
Um, I think, yeah, it's something I struggle with a lot. I don't even think I shared that with you, but like literally, like when I was like I'll harp on this, bring it back, but like I remember being at bat, like not wanting to get a hit, like just so comfortable with being like not being good. I was like, oh, okay, man, okay. I literally didn't want people watching me run down the first baseline.
Hmm.
Like that crazy.
Wow.
In these irrational, I let these thoughts like become my like thought pattern and like be like, oh, this is, yeah, I really don't want to do this. Even though it's the complete opposite of what I want to do. I wanted to be successful, right? Everyone wants to be successful.
Yeah, of course.
So
That's crazy, dude.
it ended up being, yeah, like really, I had a really bad year when I was like 14. It was travel ball, 15. And, obviously I pulled myself out of that and had a really good high school career and college career. But like, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's something that never went away. It's still have it to this day, right? But it's like, how can you? I recognize it more, and now it's like, okay, how can I not do that? I struggle with it in baseball, and maybe I didn't reach my full potential. I don't know. Definitely at times I didn't, So it's like, okay, how in my life now, how can I prevent that from hindering my ability to be the best version of myself and be the most successful person I can today? So it's a work in progress. Every day it's a struggle,
Yeah.
Not, I wouldn't say struggle. Every day it's, and I got to put in a little bit extra work to, keep my mind right,
Of course.
And
Of course.
I've done it every day and I'm willing to do it, but it's challenging. And I'm, like you said, like you were at your best when you were just going, you were just like, Aiden, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna go for it. You were just like speed, power. You were playing forward. You were hunting. Like
Mhm.
you were just like in it. And then those days, sometimes we're like, oh, I don't really feel it, or you're really really in your head, right? And like it's like you're almost like just like walking zombie, and like you're just like going through the motions, And
Right.
it's like,
Right.
all right, how can we bring this back to being? How can we that aggressive, that like you know, that good soccer player in you, how can we like bring that into life and be our good how can we manifest that, and how can we
Like in
take that
other aspects of the life.
in other aspects? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think, like we were talking about last episode, I think it really comes down to like being in the present moment and not allowing those thoughts to like infiltrate the present moment. Okay. And because, like we said last episode, meditation is, you can describe it or, put a definition on it however you want. But I think it's the act or the practice of allowing thoughts to come and go, noticing them, and then coming back to silence, coming back to the present moment. And I think me looking back and realizing it now, like when I was in the present moment and allowing thoughts to just come and pass,
Come in and come out.
not distract me, right? I'm not going to sit there and have a
And
thought and then fucking analyze it and think
yep,
about this and that and this and
let
that.
it go.
Oh my god, yeah, it's in and it's out and I'm
Yep.
here and I'm doing this, okay? And that's how you have to bring it to every aspect of your life. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the big takeaways of what we're discussing right now is how can you bring that to other aspects of your life? I think that's one of the biggest ways. That's one of the biggest
Yeah.
ways.
And it
Being
took me
present.
like, yeah. And also I was young and I was learning more about how my brain worked, and you know,
Yeah, of course, dude.
like I didn't have the skills to, really understand what those thoughts were. I just thought, oh yeah, I don't want to be successful, or
This is who I am. This
Yeah.
is how everyone thinks, right? You
Yeah,
now
it's
you
just
think
the
that this is
chemistry of
how
my
other
brain.
people are, right? Because you don't know, you can make all these like these preconceived thoughts about how someone else is. You have no
Yeah.
idea what someone else is going through or how they think on their day-to-day basis. You can have all these, things like, okay, this person's like that. That's why they act like this. Like you just assume like this is how you are. And does that make sense? Like when you're younger and you don't have these tools and you don't have the knowledge to understand and to see it from a different perspective or
You might
have
think, oh man, I'm fucking crazy. Like,
right.
but it takes some time and some life experience to realize that, okay, no, you're not crazy. You just have a different brain composition than everyone else, and it's just your job to understand how to deal with it
Right.
and be the best version. So, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have to go pee. I've been sipping on stews like crazy. Bro tea baby, I'm back. And
We're back.
I had a couple of thoughts while I was frontal. Um what do you think are like a couple of big things that surfing taught you to add to that tool belt to deal with these types of situations? Surfing in
Perfect.
particular, right?
All right. This is what I got. Patience.
Okay.
Because I've had sessions where I've sat on my board for an hour and haven't caught a wave, or a wave hasn't come that I've caught, right? And it's all about, you can easily, and I've done it, I've gotten in my head, gotten pissed, like, fuck, like, man, that was the wave. I missed it, botched it, or, but it's really just about coming back to yourself, sitting near your board, looking out onto all the waves coming in, the ocean, being present. Because that's all really, it's all you can really do out there. You're with your thoughts. So I would say patience. You know, nothing happens overnight, and I think that's a good lesson from surfing, is that you're not going to get better after one session. It takes time and practice to get better at surfing, and it also takes time and practice to learn about yourself, right? So it's not like, I mean, sometimes like you'll have a thought, you'll have something that in your head, it'll click and be like, oh, okay, I got that. But surfing's taught me patience.
Yeah.
And as much as it sucks, as I want answers for certain things in my life that I'm struggling with, or I want answers to, like, life's almost like sometimes saying, "Hey, nope, not giving it to you right now. Suck it up." Like patience.
Hmm.
And I think we live in a world where it's very like instant gratification. And when I'm out there on the, you know, on the ocean, on my board with water all around me, the abyss below, and the clouds, sun, it just kind of puts things in your it makes you sit with your thoughts and be patient.
Yeah.
So I would say patience.
Dude, that's that's definitely one of my biggest things too that it taught me. That's why I have it tattooed on my leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go
It's
ahead.
such, dude, it's such a beautiful thing. Like when I'm out there, okay, and I feel the push and the pull, and I just breathe. Sometimes I'll notice how busy my mind is, like random stuff, totally random stuff, and then I have to like bring myself back to the moment, and I'll just deep breathe. I find my most silent moments in life, the quietest my mind ever is, and the most connected I feel to myself and the earth and the energy around me is when I'm out there surfing. Um, and yeah, dude, it really is patience because obviously, like me too, like I've had those ones where you're like, you're digging and you're driving and you're paddling for that fucking this wave of the day, right? And you miss, or you go to drop in and you drop, down the face and you just get exploded, and you're like, I blew it. You know what I mean? But
And you're like, that was, and then it takes so much energy just to even paddle back out to the peak or the lineup, and it almost feels like a failure. And then
yeah,
in the back of your mind, you're like, hey, this is part of it.
that's part of
This is
it.
the patience that the ocean and surfing and waves is trying to tell you and teach you. It'll beat you. It'll beat it out of you.
Dude,
You know.
it'll beat it out of you so hard. I've had
And then you're
days
finally
where
accepting. It's all about that. Pull that rug out. Accept.
accept it because this is like a good example. I've had days where it's cold, freezing cold. Winter surfing on Cape Cod can get freezing. You get suited up in your thick wetsuit. It's basically like a fucking production just to put it on, right? You get it on, you grab your board, you wax it up, and you walk out and you look and you go, okay. It's big. It's things are stewing out there for sure. And I've had days where
Lots of
I
energy.
I paddle out. I can't even make it out past the break. It's just over and over. You duck dive, drag. And each duck dive, you're going under the water. It feels like a concussion, and you're just getting hit with this cold water in your face, and you get
Yeah.
duck dive, big set, boom, explosion. Okay, you get out, you stand on the beach, analyze, wait for another moment of opportunity to paddle back out, boom, again, duck dive, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, I've had days where I can't even make it out past the break. But I can get in my truck and be all fucking pissed off and this and that, like whatever. But that's part of it, right? That's part of it. That's part of the patience too. The patience
Yeah. What's that
aspect.
gonna do for you, right?
Yeah, it's not just about paddling out, sitting there and waiting for the wave to come and being with yourself. It's also the part of each session, right? Some sessions you're going to be on, some sessions you're going to get tossed up, and we were just talking about that with sports, right? It's
It's
like,
like going on a date with a girl that you don't have a connection with, and it's like,
Roti, come on, baby, where'd that come from? I want to hear this. Let's go. Stir me up.
no, no,
Nope.
dude. It's like
Stir me up.
so it's like each time you paddle out, right? Is like think about that as every each date you go on, right? And some sessions are great. Some dates are you go great and you have a great connection. Some are bad. It's like pulling teeth, right? And some sessions are like pulling teeth, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and you're duck diving, you're not getting anywhere. The current's fucking pulling you, turmoil everywhere. You're getting beat up. You're getting beat down, uh, pushed to the bottom, smacked off the bottom. It's like, and some dates are like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you gonna do though? You just gonna stop paddling out? You're gonna stop going on dates
Yeah.
just because you got ruined? No, that's life. That's patience. If everything was so great and every session was perfect and every date went so well, then you wanted to. That's not really like realistic. That's not life. Like you'd just be coasting through life with. You wouldn't have any substance to you. You'd be like, oh, this is great. That you would only know You know.
You'd only know the good, and that's why you're able to
Yeah.
sit here today and say surfing taught me this because of moments like this, right?
Yeah, because you
Because of the
have to
bad, you're
think about it.
pulling that from the
Yeah.
yeah. I love that, dude.
And then you start to like think it's like fuck it after a shitty session, you're like, what the hell happened? And then you take something like, hey, maybe my technique was off in duck diving, and then you tweak things and you learn and you grow. And then maybe on a date, you're like, okay, well, maybe I need a vet who I go on dates with more. And maybe I should have listened to this first initial thought about this person. I was like, I didn't really have a great feeling about them, but I still went, And
Yeah.
it's all about learning lessons, learning how to, what to do in certain situations, how, and you build that kind of muscle memory, and then you build those experiences, and that gives you confidence, and everything ties together, right? So that's life. You can't have sunshine without a little cloud, and some cloudy days, right?
A
So it's
little
like,
bit of drizzle, Abruzzi.
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, so for the viewers that don't know, for almost actually 5 years ago now, I took it upon myself. Roan T asked me to teach him how to surf, and trust me, I've had plentiful amounts of people to teach me how to surf. But Ronan is the only person that has experience, has invested time and effort, time after time, and money, buying the gear, and, going through those motions that we talked about, right? Because even as a beginner, too, you're experiencing moments like that now. Like when I told you about, duck diving, not being able to make it out, I don't really experience that anymore, but I used to, right? A lot, because that's how it is, Now I can gauge and sit on the shore and go, no, I'm not going to be able to make it past that. And you know what I mean? Like, you have to learn your limits. You're like a baby cat running off shelves and stuff.
Literally like a
running
baby
into
cow,
gears.
like who's
Yeah.
unstable.
So, yeah, I want to, back to what I was saying. Roan, he invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, and he really wanted it. And that's why I'm like, okay, this is, we weren't really that good of like friends yet. We were more just so high school acquaintances, right? We got each other fired up. It was pretty
We were like buddy. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
it was
my
like
buddy.
Yeah, it was like surface level. But I think through
It's not buddy.
surfing and through the act of us going out in the water together and all of that, like we became really really good friends in and outside of the water. Like so, like almost 5 years ago, that's really what sparked everything, right? And
I think it was 2020.
I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was definitely
Yeah,
2020.
wow.
Yeah, so like
Not that long ago, dude.
5 years ago about. And yeah, so I just wanted to ask you, like, where do you feel like you're at with your surfing? How do you feel? Because Roan lives in California, obviously now, so I don't get to see him out in the water, and I don't get to go, hey man, really drop that shoulder and just draw it up. You know what I mean? Like I could see him surfing and give him advice, but now I'm going off of words and what he tells me over the phone.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just
Well, I'm honest.
I know. I want you to explain to the viewers where you feel like you're at with 5 years into surfing. You're out in San Diego.
5 years, okay.
Do you feel like your progression, like, how do you feel out in the San Diego lineups compared to the Cape Cod lineups? The waves, like, do you feel more comfortable on those waves?
I feel
What
more
kinda-
comfortable out here, dude. If you surfing Cape Cod is so fucking tough, dude.
It's tough.
All the breaks out here are so much easier. The paddle out's easier. Duck diving's easier. There's less power behind the waves. A lot of them, there's a lot of reef breaks and point breaks out here where, say if the whitewater's breaking over here, broke first, then the heaviest section that's about to break with the whitewater's right over here. I'm gonna paddle on the inside towards the whitewater that's already broke because it's less powerful. I'm gonna duck dive and easily get through it. So it's like it's predictable.
Yeah.
You know what a point break looks like.
Yeah.
I know it. Like it's very predictable. And the board I have out here, even though it's a 7.2, really really thin rails, really duck dives really really well.
Yeah.
So I can get out the back. But on Cape, it's a different story. Like I went surfing with you and your brother over
What's that,
Christmas break, and
yeah.
and I didn't even get out.
Yeah.
Past the break. I mean, I was just getting beat up inside, and I was like, "Fuck." So where am I at with my surfing? I will say, still a work in progress. I'll get one wave that's I feel good about like here and there, but then I'll also botch and butcher waves,
Yeah.
and then fall and all that shit. So I don't know. I still need some more time out there.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, I've been surfing for 20 years and almost, not actually, 18 years. And dude, I got days like that too, man. It's, you got, you got days where you feel like you're on. We were just talking about it, right? And it's such a weird thing too, because you as someone like, do you have like an idea of what you want to do on the wave? Like you can sit back and watch someone like much better than you and say, I want to be able to do this, this, and this on the
Yeah.
wave, right? Um, but it's such a dude, surfing is just so different. It's so like
There's nothing
wild.
else like it. It's a raw.
Right.
It's like it's the ocean. It's unpredictable, dude. So it's
Like
like
you compare it to something like soccer, like baseball,
you
right?
can't.
You know what I mean? And
There's so many more uncontrollables in surfing that like soccer, it's like you're at a field 70 degrees, no, grass and a ball.
yeah,
I mean,
one goal in mind.
if you hit the ball with a certain, you know,
Yeah.
pressure pass here, it's going to go this way. But like surfing, dude, I mean, the wind might pick up. You might lose footing. Your board might hit you in the
Yeah.
lip. You might get
Cuz
a fin to the head. You might
dude,
might hit the bottom off the reef. Like you don't know all these things, and then it's just fucking wild.
it's a sport, right? It is a sport. It's a solo sport, okay? But so is like golf or tennis. But with golf and tennis, you have a goal in mind, right? You have a goal in mind. Win, right? You want to win.
Surfing,
You don't
yeah,
really win in surfing. I guess
yeah.
if you had to analyze it, I guess like doing what you want on the wave is winning, like getting
Like winning your
absolutely
wave,
pitted, you know what I mean? It's
or
such a
just like hitting a
dude,
nice.
it's a selfish sport, right? And I feel like that's why like a lot of people can bring bad energy out there. Dude, I was out there yesterday surfing. There's 3 people in the water including me. So 2 other guys out in the water. It was like this super like just small, like high tide, kind of like shifty wave. And I
Yeah,
paddle out and I sit and I'm just kind of chilling, vibing out, and I see, okay, this is where this nice bar is. I'm gonna paddle over here.
what
Boom.
beach?
Nauset Beach, way down to the right, Publix. And now I'm on the peak. These guys have caught a couple of waves, and
7-0.
so no, I was on the longboard. So I drop in backside. I go right, and I'm looking down the line, and there's this old guy. I've surfed with this guy so many times. He's like some crusty old Cape Cod local. I've surfed with him so many times, and he's paddling for the wave. As I'm already up, I'm backside and I'm turned, drawing my line down the face of the wave. I'm already up on the peak going right. This guy's paddling for it. And his nose comes right over my shoulder. And I have to like avoid his nose, like chopping off my neck. And I like kick out afterwards. And I, come up from underwater, grab my board. And this guy's literally just like staring at me. He's like grilling me, like just death stare.
Jesus
And I'm
Christ.
just staring at him back, and I'm like, and I kind of put my arms up. I'm like, what was that, man? And he just starts yelling at me. He goes, he's talking about like, oh yeah, do you know who I am? Like this and that. I'm like, I said, no, I've recognized your face, but I actually don't know your name. What's your name? He's Gary something. I don't know. I go, okay, Gary, I'm Aiden. And one thing about me, Gary, is that I come out here to enjoy myself, find peace and just experience tranquility. And but one thing I'm really big on is safety in the water. And I go, it's not safe when I'm up and riding on a wave and your surfboard comes a couple inches from my neck. I go, that's not safe, is it? He's like, I've been doing this so much longer than you. Like, I go, okay, Gary, I know you've been, doing this a lot longer than me, but then you should know that that was my wave. I was on the peak, and it's not even
What did
really
he say?
about that. It's just about being safe. And
What did he say?
he just scuffs and goes paddles away. I'm like, wow, man. How can you bring that energy? I was just calm, collected, explained to him, this is my happy place. Please don't
What did
yell
he
at
say?
me. I just told you. And like, it was just, dude, it was an absolutely ridiculous situation.
Jeez.
He was completely in the wrong, got defensive, started yelling. And dude, it's literally just three guys out in like beautiful Cape Cod Ocean in the middle of winter having a fun time, and this guy just starts going off. And it's like, how do you bring that energy to such a special, beautiful place? And it's because I think I've come to the conclusion now that it's a sport, right? It's a solo sport. And people get so consumed in performance, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit on this old guy, but you know, I love that he's out there and he's really old and he's still paddling and catching waves. Like, that's awesome. But, you know, obviously I'm going to outperform him. I'm a young buck in the water, you know? It doesn't mean I don't have respect for him, but he's so focused on getting that wave.
Your joints are a little bit more lubricated than his at
Yeah.
26, Tony.
Yeah. But,
those knees, they're all right, Johnny Rocket.
but it's such a solo
Blitzer!
sport, dude. It's such a solo sport, and I feel like people get really consumed in the performance aspect for themselves, and they become selfish, and in turn they become rough around the edges, right? Which can happen in any sport with competition,
Yeah, true.
you know? So, but it's solo, and then you internalize that, and now you become that. I don't
Then you
know,
look
it's-
at everyone else in the water as you're taking my wave. I'm trying to perform and be my best and look cool and fuck you.
Right,
You know, everybody
right.
gets into my. It's like I don't care who's out there with me. I just want to like get good. You know, I want to try to get my good waves. You know, and,
Right.
and like
Be
if someone like
happy.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, like I'm not gonna. Dude, I've gotten dropped in on a lot. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, also another thing
that's
is
another
just
thing.
like,
Patience, dude.
yeah.
Like things are gonna throw you in different directions. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? Do you let it get? You don't have no control over that.
Mhm.
You're gonna let it affect your mood? No. I'm big on that. I go out there, good attitude. You know, it'll come back to you, man. Karma's, it'll come back to you.
It'll come back to you 100%, dude. And after that interaction with the guy in the water yesterday, he paddled away. I just sat there, took a deep breath, released all that bullshit that he just sent my way, and I just smiled. And I actually let out a vocal laugh. I just laughed. And then I was just enjoying the rest of my session.
Hey, Gary,
I want him on a platter. Let's go charcuterie.
You want him on a
board, Gary.
bomb out the back of the right?
Dude, I've surfed with him so many times, man. It's just funny.
He knows you, right?
Do you know who I am? I go, Gary, honey, come over here. Let me give
Let
you
me
a
rub you,
massage.
Gary.
Come on, huh? Yeah, but dude,
You might know Dino.
come on. Yeah, I love surfing for that in particular reason. It's a solo sport, and you can let it affect you in the ways that you want. That's why you got your core lords, man.
Yep.
That's why you got your core lords. But
Look,
yeah,
I
no.
need another coffee, bro.
Come on, Brutes. I've wanted to talk about surfing, so I'm glad that we touched on that a little bit. We haven't really touched on surfing in this podcast, so I wanted to bring it up and kind of talk about it a little bit. Because, I think it's a big part of who we are as people. And,
The
title
of this episode should be "Running with Gary." Dude.
Gary in the water. Search for Gary. The search for Gary. Okay, so that being said, let's wrap up and summarize this podcast. So I loved the buzz of the day. That was a beautiful quote. The carpet being pulled out from under you. Remember, if you need to rewind and revert back to that, do so now, because that was some super awesome information that you can add and incorporate into your life. I love that. Thank you for bringing that quote. What was the book title one more time?
Start Where You Are.
Start Where
Pema
You Are.
Chodron.
Okay. So, yeah, if you guys are interested.
Shout out
in
my
that
mom
book,
for getting that for me. Thank you, Mom.
Shout out Shane. Yep. Appreciate you. And yeah, so if you guys are interested in that book, go ahead, get it, audiobook, whatever, give it a read, give it a good read. And now, we're going to be incorporating that one chapter per week. And we forgot to mention this earlier. I'm an audiobook guy. I like listening. Ronan did order the book on
I'm
Amazon.
paperback guy.
He likes the paperback. but it's not going to come in time for him to read the first chapter this week. It'll come, I think, next week. So I'll take it upon myself to listen to the first chapter, and then I'll be breaking it down. Ronan will be
And I'll
listening.
add my Yep.
And then you have 2 chapters to read the following week.
Do.
So I want you
I
on.
sure do.
I want you on like
I'm
John.
on.
Come on.
Hey, we're committed here. Come on.
So we're excited to bring that new segment to you guys. We'll have a name for it by next episode, and we'll go ahead. We'll introduce it with a fucking bang. I'm excited. And also shout out JMO. Shout out JMO. We're excited to have you on the team, brother. Super, super stoked. Like I said, plug your socials if you want to. We really appreciate you, stepping up to this position and, introducing this to your life and your structure and making the time for it. And we're stoked to see where this goes. It's going to help us grow. And you're on the team, brother. You're with us here for the long run, man. So that is it, guys. Episode 9 for Quad Shot Podcast. This was a super awesome, kind of free-flowing, weird episode, and I loved how we touched on surfing at the end there, and we got Gary. We fit Gary in on the schedule, and I'm really glad we got Gary in there. We just wanted to jam him in right there on the end of the schedule.
Yep.
Come on, baby. Roan T, I appreciate all the insights you brought today. As always, my man, super, super awesome. Stoked for the information you brought to the table on this one. I hope someone is able to utilize it in their own life. As always, baby, come on. That's why we do this shit. That's why we show up. That's why
7
we film this shit.
Yeah, so it is. I just will say this, guys, Quad Shot audience out there. It is 7 a.m. We started this at 7 a.m. my time, so I was a little bit laggy, a little foggy.
Lagger.
Yep, good lingo. And I only had one double shot espresso. So
yeah, no, we'll get you on.
I didn't have a quad shot, but next time we're gonna take that into consideration and hopefully do a little later. So I'm a little bit more buzzed up.
Yeah, a little bit more buzz. But hey, you know what? We fit it in. We got it in. We made it.
Commit.
We made it happen. So, guys, appreciate you. So much love to our little community out there. Appreciate you tuning into this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm excited to bring our new segments and JMO in on the team. Okay, guys?
I'm excited, bro.
I'm fucking stoked. So that's episode...
We're going to see you guys next week.
Next week. Oh, come on, baby. I want Gary there, too. Come on. Fuck.
You want him?
I want him.
Get it there if you want. I can call him.
Quad Shot Podcast, episode number 9. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And we'll catch you on the next episode next week.
Over and out.
Stay blessed. All right? Come on.